welcome. I'm Sarah from Handmade After Dark, and tonight's online class to go is featuring the Layered Thoughts bundle. So for those who aren't familiar with the online class to go, each week I do a live video with 3 cards, and if you place an order of $75 or more, excluding shipping and after any Stampin' Rewards redemptions, then I will send you the kits to make 2 each of the 3 cards. So you will need the stamp set or bundle that is being featured that week, but all the cardstock and DSP and any die cuts that are not part of the bundle that I'm using, I will supply to you. So that's just a little thank you from me for ordering. And I'm actually just gonna, let's see if I can get Facebook up tonight without all the volume. That's a bit better. All right, that way I can actually hopefully see the comments and don't ignore them. I always feel bad when I see afterwards that people have commented and I can't reply at the time. All right, so let me just change the screen. All right, so this is the Layered Thoughts stamp set. So this is the feature of this week's class. And so I've got 3 cards with this one. This is actually a gift card holder as well. And I've got a thank you card and another thank you card. That was going to be a thinking of you card, but then I realized it didn't quite fit. It was a little bit too narrow. So you could make that that whole piece a bit bigger if you wanted to fit it in. It's very close to fitting, but or you could switch it around and do this one as a thinking of you if you wanted to, but up to you. So we will start with the gift card holder. And so those who do get the kits, so you'll get, so for this first one, you'll get the cardstock for the base. If you wanted to, you could just do this as a card so that you could have it, standard sort of card, just standard score, and just have the standard sort of insert. So basically take out this and just have one big sheet of DSP and the sentiment. So you could do either. So then we also have going to be some die cuts. These are from Impressions of Bloom, which I used a couple of weeks back for my class, and then some basic white cardstock, some more Misty Moonlight, and some DSP. All right, let's do this stamping first. I will just make sure I actually use the right size for that. So it is that one. Yes. All right, so I'm just doing the happy birthday with this one, and I'm going to use Misty Moonlight ink once I get everything organized. All right. So my Misty Moonlight ink pad is a little old. So I'm just going to check that it's inked up well, and it looks like I've got some. This is why I always like to check before I stamp on my cardstock, because inevitably you do often get little bits and pieces, particularly when you've got die cuts that have small pieces and backings, and they end up in all sorts of places. So always a good idea to test out first, just to make sure, and hope you don't pick up any extra bits in the process. because I have had that happen. It does happen. Alrighty, that looks good. And I will clean that off before I forget, even though I'm not using this one again, just in case, and so I don't get ink everywhere. And I may as well mat this while I'm at it. Can move this out of the way. Now, before I forget, for anyone who is wanting to sign up for the online global retreat, if you want the full kit, the registrations close this Thursday. So there will be another link to the sign up form in my email that comes out tomorrow. If you are not on my email list, head over to my website, handmadeafterdark.com.au, and join my email list, or there is also a number of posts on my Facebook page that also have that link, or you can message me directly and I'll get that to you. All right, so let's just score this, and I just realized I also need my punch, which I forgot to get out. Thankfully, it is just down here. Hopefully, I've got the right side. I think I do. It will work. We'll make it work. All right, so the DSP just goes on either side. So we'll do those first. So I'll do, and I'm going to use the green glue for these. Oh, that wasn't what I wanted. Sorry. My computer decided to keeps moving stuff. Come on. Sorry. Oh, it's going to be difficult. Of course it is. Oh, we'll try. Come on. No, it's been difficult. All right. It lasted for a little bit. It was worth a shot. Maybe next time. I still need to get all my new camera and everything set up, which I'm hoping to do very soon. It's been a little bit busy the last couple of weekends. Okay, so this one will sit on the bottom piece. That is too short. Did I mess that up? Or did I mess this one up? Oh yeah, I messed that one up. So that's a good thing we haven't put too much of this together. So I just need to shorten this. That's fine. I'm going to get it to where I want it, and then bring in my trimmer. Let's see how. Yeah, I didn't cut that down properly. Better. There we go. Awesome. All right. And we'll do top piece, just having a mental blank on how to actually put this one together. So if you, for those who do get the online class, you do also get the PDF tutorial as well. So you'll have written instructions as well. So you don't have to always come back and watch the video unless you need to. You've got written ones as well. Alrighty. So that is the base. And then we need to do the insert. So I don't know how you can see it. I've got the score line up the top and then one down the bottom. Now they fold in different directions. So the top one here is going to be a mountain fold. And then this one is a valley fold. So I'm going to, before I forget, I'm just going to take circle punch. So you can use whatever size circle punch you've got. Really, you just want to create a small space just to make it easier to get the gift card or whatever you're putting in out. So that's fine. Before we put that down, I'm just going to add just a little bit of stamping just in the top corner. This bit is optional. I didn't add a whole lot of stamping to this one just because there's not a huge amount of room to write on it. So, you know, I didn't want to take up all of or too much of the white space with stamping. I wanted to leave plenty of room to write your message. So just a small bit of stamping in the top, totally optional. And then that, we want that to sit up the top of this one, so near the top, the small score line, and then that will fold over. So move that back out of the way. Stick this one down. Just using the green glue for this one, just so I've got that room to move it if I need to. Nope. And maybe get the stamping the right way around. There we go. Now, it's optional whether you tape the sides down on this. The sides of the base you will tape down, so you don't have to tape the sides down. I am going to just make sure if you do that you don't add too much adhesive, which is one of the reasons I'm going to use tear and tape, because it's a nice thin strip and it means you've still got enough room to fit a card in, or you can put cash if you wanted to. It just makes it, keeps the edge a little bit more secure, but it is optional. So we'll stick that down, and then we are going to stick this edge down to this top part. So you want to basically, if you line it up with the score line and fold it over, and then when you open it, it will be stuck down and it'll be nicely aligned. So you could use tear and tape or green glue or Stampin' Seal for this one. The easiest way to get it aligned where you want it is to find the spot in the middle, line it up with score line, make sure it is even all the way across, fold that top bit down, and then it sits nicely. Then we're going to add some adhesive to the sides here. Now you do, and I do recommend tear and tape. You definitely don't want your adhesive coming past here, because if you start sticking it on that, then it's not going to open and close properly. So tear and tape right on the edge is a really good option for this one, because it's nice and thin, but still gives you a good adhesive. So just get that down. Fold that up. Make sure it still moves nicely, which it does. And then, so we can close that. And then we can decorate the top. So we will stick this one down. So just make sure you don't go too far over with the adhesive. You only want it on the first half, because you don't want to stick the whole thing shut. One thing you can do to check if you've got enough or too much is just flip it over, see where it's sitting. And we want that in the center. And I'm just going to flip it up to make sure I haven't got adhesive on the other side, which I don't, so I can press that down. And then we are going to add some, where are my dimensions? There they are. So just going to add a couple of little flowers. So these are fresh freesia from the Impressions of Bloom die cuts. So I'm just going to put these around the edge. And then we will add a handful of leaves. So these are garden green. And yeah, I can't remember if I used two-tone or regular for these ones, but either one works absolutely fine. I may well have used a bit of both. Oh, need it to stick to the paper, not to my hand. First one. second one, and we'll put that third one somewhere around there. No, that doesn't want to sit where I want it to sit. So I'm going to, come on. Okay, fine. Let's rearrange that ever so slightly. It does not want to cooperate. Doesn't help that my hands are a little bit numb. I'm just going to lift that up. There we go. That's better. Hands are a little bit numb, so they're not cooperating as well as I would like. There we go. That's better. All right, now we just need some embellishments. So I am using the holographic resin dots for this one. So I'm going to put a couple on in the center of the flower. So I'll grab a couple of the large ones for that. And then I'm just going to use some of these small ones for some of the other flowers. Let's see, another one there, and I think we need one more. All right, where's it going to go? What do you reckon? Somewhere down here. Let's go here. There we go. All right. That is the first card or gift card holder. So that is the first project done. And my embellishments don't want to go away. All right. Now the second one, this is the second one. So this is a nice simple thank you card. So it is a Blackberry Bliss base, and then once I find my pieces, we have some strawberry slush cardstock, some of the DSP from the Celebratory Sips DSP, basic work for the insert, and one of the textured notes dies for the sentiment. And then we will be using some ribbon as well, and I need to make sure I remember to put that on before I stick everything down, but we will start with the stamping, and I'm going to use Blackberry Bliss ink for this one. And so this is in two parts. Now you could, especially if you've got one of the bigger blocks, you could put both pieces on, or both stamps on together and do it as one. I find it never quite works the way I want, or at least the positioning is never quite as I want it. And I'm going to check this one before I stamp, because my ink pad is very old and definitely it's got some little bubbles that I need to clear off, which I haven't done yet. So this one will go up the top. This one, just make sure it's looking okay. Oh, that's, thankfully that is just a dimensional backing sitting on there. And then this one is going to sit underneath. Definitely going to clean these off because I need these for the next card, and I do not want Blackberry Bliss in my Granny Evergreen ink. That's not going to look great. So that a clean. I need to give that. I'm just going to flip that over. Need to give my chamois a bit of a clean as well. It's all right. All right, so let's put this together. Now, before I put anything on the card base, I need to put these two together and then wrap the ribbon around. So let's do that. So I reckon when I do these videos, I really need someone just in my ear watching, reminding me of all the things I tend to forget. Like, don't stick that down. You haven't done the ribbon. Because I've done that a few too many times. All right. Now so we're going to do the ribbon in two pieces. We're going to stick some, going to wrap some around, and then we will add a bow afterwards. So I'm going to add a couple of glue dots just to stick it down, just for sort of where it's going to have the sentiment label over the top, because you won't see those. So just pick up a couple. Not that I can actually see where they are right now, but just makes it a bit easier to keep it secure. So I want it reasonably close to the edge. And I can't even tell where my glue dots are. There's one, there's another. All right. I'm going to flip this over and use, where's my tear and tape? There it is. Just going to use a bit of tear and tape to hold this down. I'll just get that as straight as I can. Do the same at this end. Just make sure you don't warp the paper when you do it. You want to make sure it stays flat. There we go. All right, now we can stick this bit down. Just need to move some of this stuff out of the way, so that is fine. Actually, just going to trim that off just because it doesn't need to all sit there. And I may as well take these backing pieces off and make the most of the adhesive. Double-sided adhesive, may as well get use out of both sides. All right, Let's put that down there. Go. And then this one, I'm going to stick this one up on dimensionals. And I think that I do like it to be even-ish. Find when you've got bigger pieces and only a small number of dimensionals that it kind of either ends up sagging, or if you press on it too much, then it doesn't look as good. So I have no doubt I end up adding far more than I actually need, but hey, works for me most of the time. All right, so we want that sitting in the center so it just fits the width of the DSP. And we may as well add the insert while we're here, which is the, get some of those backings off the desk. It's a good thing you can't see the floor. Okay, so we'll just put that now, and I am using the purple fine shimmer gems for this one. Should probably put, where's the lid for that before I stab myself. So I'm going to use a couple of the big ones and one of the smaller ones. Oh, that's the wrong lid. And that is that one. Card number 2 is done. All right, on to the last one. And this is a fun fold card. So this is a nice, easy one. And this is one, it'll, you can switch up the DSP and use whatever you like. It will work. Oh, no, we haven't finished. Sorry. Just realized we haven't added the bow. We still need to add the bow. Let's do that. I forgot something. I always forget something. Alrighty. We'll just use blue dots for this one. And I'm just going to put this right up in line with the strip. I'll just make this a tiny, pull this down a tiny bit if I can. There we go. Alrighty. Now we can move on to the last one. This one also has a bow. Hopefully I'll remember. So yeah, this one, you can easily switch up the paper and then just change the color of the cardstock and the ink to coordinate. It's a really easy fun fold. So we'll do the stamping first. So this one has a Granny Apple Green card base. I have already trimmed the end of this, so it's a standard size card base, and then you just cut a chunk off the end. The measurements are in the tutorial. It's roughly, it's a bit, actually I do have them, I have them here, let me check. It is yeah, cutting off, yes, so 10 by 22.7. So the total of this is 22.7 centimeters, and you score at 14.9 or 14.85, the standard width. So it's, yeah, roughly 7.7 from the edge, but it, you know, doesn't have to be exact. It's not, yeah, it'll still work. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought. Now we want to stamp, and I need my kit. So we have the extra bit of Granny Apple Green for the second fold. We have some DSP and some more DSP, and a couple of pieces of, well, a few pieces of basic black and a few pieces of basic white. Now, the basic white pieces are all the same, so that makes it a bit easier. And you've got two basic black pieces that are the same size. They go with the basic white. The next size up, basic black, goes with the smaller piece of DSP, and the large one goes with the large piece. So let's do the stamping first. So Granny Apple Green ink. My stamps back in. Where's my other one? Oh, there it is. And let's just, yeah, make sure I've hopefully gave that a good enough clean before. Let's check. Yep, all good. Alrighty, so this one is going so close to the middle. And then this one will sit underneath. Let's give those a quick clean. I'll give the ink a second to dry, even though it's generally dry pretty much straight away, but sometimes it can help, especially when you've got the thicker, or the ones that use a bit more ink. So I'll put that bit together later. Let's start assembling. Now I'm going to use the green glue for all of these. They are mostly fairly thin borders, so I like a bit of space to move. Or time rather than space. It's the first one. I'll do that one in a minute. do that one last, at least of these pieces, just so it's got, just so I'm not going to smudge it. And that one, and then we need this bigger one. Now, hopefully, so apologies to anyone watching last week when and I still don't know why, but probably about 15 minutes before the end, it just stopped. I don't know why. I do this through Zoom. Zoom was still going, and I have Zoom set up for 2 hours just in case. Not that it kicks you out anyway, but just in case, I always have it set up. And I didn't realize until when I went to end the live on Facebook that it had already ended. So I still don't know why. It looks like it is still going now, which is good. Hopefully it keeps going. Don't know if there have been any recent changes in Facebook. The lives that it cuts off after a certain amount of time. The one that I did the week prior was longer, and that was totally fine. But for anyone who was watching and missed the end, it was just the construction of the final card, and it was all fairly standard. So you didn't miss anything crucial. Still disappointing that it decided to stop recording on me, but there were no critical things that got cut off, at least. But hopefully it was just one of those weird one-off glitches. All right, now let's start putting this together. So we need to we'll start with the large DSP piece that's going on the back there. Going to have to get some more glue out soon. Hopefully this one will last for tonight. Okay, can't actually see the score line there. There we go. Let's just move that down slightly. So that one goes there, and then this, oh, no, this one goes on the front. Let's just make sure it's actually, yep, make sure I've actually cut this all to the right size. Okay, that's that one. Let's just move that back slightly. There we go. Alrighty, now going to pull this in, and we can actually, I'll put these down. We'll put these down first. For me, it makes it a bit easier to line everything up. I don't know why, it just does. So let's get this up. So just remember with this one that it opens out to the opposite side of the base. So you want the score line on your right-hand side. And then this one goes on the top piece. Try not to, drop it while it's covered in glue. I might actually just, I'm going to put my silicone mat over that because I can see myself putting something down on that and then everything's sticking to it and just completely destroying everything that we've just made. And it wouldn't be the first time. All right, so we just want to line this up so that work out where you want it to sit. And then you just want to adhere the back. So it's going to sit roughly in the center. Just make sure that when you close it, that it's going to sit as you want before you stick it down, just in case any of your measurements are slightly off, or if you've gone with a slightly different size, you just want to make sure that it's going to fit as you expect. So we want that to sit roughly in the center. And I just move this up so it's slightly better view. Straighten that up. Make sure that's it. There we go. All right, now all that we need to do, apart from removing that bit of adhesive, once I find, where's my adhesive remover gone, apart from staring me in the face. It may well be on the floor somewhere. There it is. I do love my adhesive remover. They are very, very handy tools. All right, so now we just need to add a bow. It might help if I could tie a bow. At least this is a little easier to work with than twine, for me at least. If you've ever had to suffer through me, watching me trying to tie bows with twine or adhere twine, you'll know what I mean. This is much, much easier. I've just got probably a bit too much glue on my hands and just slightly numb fingers. That will do. Where are my glue dots? There they are. We'll just add one. Once I find them, where are they hiding? Come on, there you are. So we're just going to stick that up in the corner, and then I'm going to use the holographic resin dots again. So use some of the big ones, some of the small ones. One more. Alrighty. Oh, close that properly. There we go. That is the final card. So I'll just bring all of these back in. Let's see if this is still got. All right, that should be dry enough. So we have that one. We have the thank you card, and we have the gift card holder. So those are the 3 cards for this week's class. Remember, you have until Saturday to get, or Saturday night, to get your orders in to get this class. And let me just change my camera back. There we go. And remember, registrations for the full kit for the online global retreat close on Thursday. So get that done by then. If you want the full kit, the online access pass will still be available after Thursday. You can register for that right up until the retreat. That's not an issue. But thank you very much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the cards. Next week's class is the Scenic Adventures bundle. So have a great week, and I will see you next week. Bye.